What is up, YouTube? I am Eric and you are watching Retro Video Game Pickups, and in this video we are talking about the Nintendo Switch and a Super Nintendo controller. So if you like games, consoles, or product reviews, please consider subscribing and hitting that bell notification. With that being said, let's hop into it. Okay, so there have been some rumors going around about the Nintendo Switch and a Super Nintendo controller. Well, there was a patent filed with specs that appear to be Super Nintendo controller for Nintendo, and honestly it only shows the back because everything else is still concealed or kind of not released to the public, but the back of this looks exactly like a Super Nintendo controller, and it even has some Switch accessory type of language. It says HAC and then like 042, I believe, which actually is a kind of a model number type that Nintendo uses for Nintendo Switch accessories. So that is something that is super exciting. Now, what we will get exactly, we're not sure, but in this video, we're going to talk about what it will be like if we get a controller like that is branded by Nintendo and what that could possibly mean for the Nintendo Switch. So the first thing I want to talk about is actually getting the controller. Now, everyone knows that Nintendo has recently been making like the top notch of physical hardware. We're talking about the NES Classic, the SNES Classic, the Switch, we're talking about those Joy-Cons, we're talking about the Pro Controller, all of that stuff that they've released for this system and systems somewhat like it have been very great. And when I say that, they are going above and beyond when it comes to actually developing, designing, and all that stuff and getting it out to the customers, which are me and you. And honestly, I love almost everything, if not everything, about the Switch that I have gotten so far. So when I see a Super Nintendo controller coming from them, I know it's going to be top quality, top notch, which is a very good thing because I am very excited about that. Now, I know some people are going to say, well, I already have an 8-bit Do controller, and don't get me wrong, those are great. Those are Bluetooth controllers. They work very well with the Switch, and they work well with a bunch of other things like the Xbox One, the PS4, a PC, a bunch of other things that I think it works well with. However, Nintendo branded stuff is always great, always top notch, always quality, and I'm never disappointed, at least with hardware. So I'm very excited to see this. I'm very excited to get this and just see what Nintendo has for us. Whether it's going to be a wired cable or a wireless controller, I'm not quite sure, but I honestly hope that it is wireless because, well, if you've got a Switch and you're taking it on the go, you don't want to have to plug it into the controller and then be able to use it. I also do not want to see those wireless controllers like the NES ones that kind of slide on as Joy-Cons that don't really function very much outside of the NES Online, which we'll get to eventually. But I think this controller, being a controller that's wireless, that has Bluetooth capabilities. Maybe you can Bluetooth it to something else. I don't really care about that. I want it to Bluetooth to my Nintendo Switch, and honestly, I want the battery life to be pretty good because that can be a downfall of other controllers as well that are wireless, is if the battery is not there, it kind of sucks. But I hope it also has USB-C, which the Nintendo Switch uses predominantly. I hope that is how you charge it, and everything like that. That would be very welcome to me. I will go out and buy it and have a ton of fun with it. Now, next I am going to talk about the online service that this could potentially unlock. Now, right now with the online service, you've got the NES Online, which is about 20, 30, 40 games max, maybe, that you can play right now if you have a Nintendo Switch and you have NES Online or Nintendo Switch Online, whatever it's called. I think it's Switch, but I can never remember. That is something that is very awesome. But seeing the Super Nintendo controller, hopefully that means we're going to get a whole new lineup of Super Nintendo games, which we've been waiting for 2 years. The Switch came out in 2017, and honestly, it came out boasting awesome things. It came out great, was loved by everyone. Then a little bit later, we got the NES Online. About a year later, maybe a little bit more than that, got the NES Online, got some great games, got to have a ton of fun. But here we are now, 2019, and people are desperately begging Nintendo to bring out that Super Nintendo, which I think they'll have, and I think that'll happen actually quite soon. Now, I don't know what games are going to be on it. I can tell you a few probably. You got Super Mario World, probably Super Metroid, Super Mario Kart, stuff like that. Some solid heavy hitters from Nintendo, and maybe some third parties, but I don't know how many of those we'll see. But we'll get a ton of great ones. I'm guessing probably everything that is on the SNES Classic or the Super Nintendo Classic, all those games will eventually make it over to the SNES Online. At least that's what I'm gonna call it, the Switch Online that has Super Nintendo games. Now, one thing about the NES Online is that it has some special kind of games, like they took solid games and kind of added things on, added challenges or made it harder or something like that, that I think would be really cool to see on the Super Nintendo Online service that Nintendo is hopefully going to provide. Now, I know that we probably don't know what they've got up their sleeves. They will do something that we will all love, but I hope they bring out some cool games that we get, and honestly, it's a lot of fun. Now, I am interested to see if we will get different games in the United States than they will in Europe and Japan. We'll see about that. Maybe I'll have to create an account for Japan and pick up some of those games as well. I just don't know. We'll have to see about that. But I will say, I am super excited about this. Now, this controller, we already saw and already talked about just the back of it, but I'm interested to see how the front of it is. Now, if you know anything about the Super Nintendo, in the States we got that purple, the dark purple and the light purple buttons, but overseas, like in Japan or in Europe, they got multicolored buttons, and people seem to really like that multicolored button, which I understand. I think the purple may be better for me. I'm just used to it. I think that's what it is, nostalgia. I never had the multicolor, so I like the purple, but I think, and I really hope that Nintendo offers those up to both kind of regions, offers up both the multicolored and the purple buttons for people that can decide whether they like this or whether they like that. So I think that could be something very cool that Nintendo does, but we'll just have to wait and see and find out what they provide for us. Now, I, as you can probably tell, am super duper excited to get this feature or this controller or both coming to the Nintendo Switch, because I think Nintendo has been doing a bomb job. They have been doing great with everything that they've done with the Switch. I feel like they've really listened to the consumer or the customer, their fans, and really changed things up. Now, I will say one more thing about this before we go, is I'm really excited about this controller for the old school games, the 3D, the 2D platformers, the old 8-bit games, all that, all the indie games. I'm excited to get this controller so I can play that as well. There are some very awesome 2D platformers, or platformers in general, that could really benefit from this. Having a D-pad, which the Switch controllers with the Joy-Con just doesn't come with. So I think that's a very interesting thing there, is whether or not it'll be compatible with games like that. I hope it is, and I hope they are only one pack. I don't want to get those two, like I said, NES ones that kind of slide on like Joy-Cons. I want a controller that is solely a controller that I could play with all types of games and have a ton of fun with. So I am very excited to play that controller with the Switch because of some of those awesome indie games that we have on the Switch that are a ton of fun. I can think of a ton that I would love to see on the Switch and being able to play with that controller. So I think the SNES controller would be a very awesome thing to do, and I hope that Nintendo listens and actually follows through with this, and it's not just a patent to get people riled up. So with that being said, those are kind of the rumors that we're hearing now. We're hearing this SNES Classic is coming, and I hope it does. I hope it is an awesome controller. I said classic, I mean controller. I've got that, I've been working on that. I said classic instead of controller a ton of times, but I really want to see this SNES controller come to the Switch and be very awesome. So I want to know what you guys think. Make sure you comment down below and let me know what you think. If you've watched this far, I want to say thank you so much for watching. I want to make sure that you know that the sponsor of this video is patreon.com/retrovideogamepickups. If you want to pick up a shirt, go there, $10. You can do that and become a member of my Patreon as well. So you definitely need to do that if you were wanting to donate or support this channel at all. Also, with that being said, thank you so much one more time for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Make sure you hit that bell notification because it lets you know when I post more videos, which is almost, if not every day. So with that being said, one last time, make sure you have a good day.